Hey everyone, this is Mike, and a couple of days ago, Closers EU/NA got some new content, and with new content comes of course new gear as well, or more specifically, new upgrades for our gear, because the raid that came out was Beelzebub version 2 or BBV2, which is basically a revamped version of the first version of Beelzebub raid. Now, when it comes down to new bosses, new gear and stuff that we can obtain, it's actually fairly simple. So all of the bosses that are in this version 2 are revamped versions of the ones that we have in version 1. So we still have hands, veins and back, as well as the core, and the way how you go about unlocking them is still relatively similar as well. In the previous Beelzebub raid, you would have to do veins once, back 3 times and hands twice, and then the core would open up, and then every squad would kill that one, again 3 completions. But right now it's actually a whole lot faster in order to get through the raid, because everything only needs to be cleared once. So one group is going to be assigned to each of the 3 different encounters, every group just clears it, and that breaks the part immediately, opening up the core, meaning that there's pretty much going to be a whole encounter less that you have to do, meaning that it's going to be a whole lot faster than what you were doing before. So that's pretty cool to me. Of course, the previous Beelzebub raid wasn't all too bad either, but usually would take like 20-30 minutes. If you got unlucky with groups, maybe they weren't that good, people loading in, crashing on the loading screen, waiting for disconnects, that kind of stuff. Could take quite some time. So basically cutting out a whole fight that you have to do extra is pretty much going to be speeding up this process quite a bit. Now, I'm not quite sure about the difficulty of all of the bosses. Of course, there are new mechanics. There are some one-shot mechanics as well that you have to perfect dodge through. So that's basically stuff that you have to get used to. As you can see in the gameplay in the background, I'll get hit by a couple of those. I'll die as well because I just hadn't seen the mechanics before and I was dying because of it. But yeah, I think pretty much having the same bosses with revamped mechanics is pretty decent, because this is going to be content that we're going to be grinding for quite a bit as well, because the new Transcendence levels have of course a very low success rate, and you need quite a lot of materials in order to craft the Transcendence stones in the first place. So what can we actually get with this new raid? So there's actually 2 things that we can do. First of all, we can now transcend our triggers, which is something that we couldn't do before. And we can now also transcend our core and modules from tier 5 all the way to tier 7. So you obtained your core, modules and triggers by doing Beelzebub V1. Then you would also transcend your core and mods to tier 5 with BBV1. And then now with version 2, we are going to be able to transcend to tier 7. And we'll also be able to transcend our triggers. I'll also really quickly put the rewards list on screen so you can see what you get for each rank that you obtain. Now, yesterday I was able to obtain triple S rank, which is something that you couldn't do in version 1. I'm not quite sure how common it is to get it in version 2, but if it is common, then basically triple S is something that we can obtain now, which is some bonus materials. But the most important material of all, which is the rightmost material, the orange one, you get 5 of those as well when you get just the double S. So just getting triple S is not really all that worth it, so to speak, if it is something that wouldn't just be obtainable easily. So those are the rewards that you get, meaning that it's going to be a lot easier to craft your triggers as well if you're still missing some, because you get 5 of those materials per run, meaning that it takes 4 clears in order to craft a box, and then of course 3 boxes makes it so that you can craft a trigger of choice. So let's head over to my character and take a look at the crafting station. So here we are, we have 2 new tabs. We still have of course the old tab right here where you craft the old Transcendence stones as well as the trigger boxes and the kind of stuff. As you can see, you need 20 to craft 1 box, and then of course if you get when you craft the box, you also get a material that you can then use, which is this one, to craft a specific trigger of your choice if you get very unlucky with them, like I do. I still need to get this final trigger at some point, which I can do in a couple of days. But then we have over here 2 new tabs, Meeting with the Legion Commander, which gives you this, and then Fly King Page Conversion, and this is what we're going to be using for our triggers. So first, let's go over here. So we have 2 new Transcendence stones for our cores. As you can see, this requires that orange material I was talking about before, and then we get our Transcendence dust that we need. So if you need some of these, go do the old purification raid if you're needing more of these, and then of course chromatic phase essence as well as synchronization genes. You'll probably have quite a bit of these at this point, but you're going to be needing a lot of these. You'll also need a lot of money because it costs you 1 million to craft just 1 Transcend stone, so it's going to be costing you quite the money if you need a lot of these. Of course, tier 7 requires 10 of these, meaning that you already need to get 2 clears of the BBV2 raid in order to get 1 stone. So it's going to be very grindy because you need a lot of completions, and of course the transcendence rate is fairly low. This is not a 100% stone. So it's gonna take you quite some time, or of course you can buy a bunch of those elixirs to protect your stone from breaking, something you can do. Then we have tier 6, tier 7 stone for your modules over here, but then we have these things down here. Now these are to transcend your triggers. Cool thing is that they have a 100% success rate, so you just craft them once and you're done with it. Or well, craft them 3 times, because you of course have 3 different triggers and all 3 of them need to be upgraded. Now this page right here, the Glutton's King Commandment, these are different pages by the way, depending on what trigger you want. These pages will drop per run. Now you get 5 of these per run. There's also a quest that you get for BBV2 that you can do once. It's kind of like your introductory quest, which will give you another 5, but basically you're gonna get 5 per run. So it's going to take you quite some time in order to get all of these, because you have to imagine you need 3 of these to transcend all of your triggers. Now outside of this, because of course you have a couple of different triggers, you have different materials, as you can see, there's different color paged books as well, but of course you're only going to be going after one trigger set. For example, you need all red or all green, all blue, that kind of stuff, but you're going to be getting different color pages. Now they do have this right here, the conversion, where you can transform your pages into what you need. So for example, I'm going to go after the commandment triggers, the red ones, that's what I want, but I have some yellow pages, so I can just click on the red one, go to conversion, pay again 1,000,000, as well as some chromatic phase essence and synchronization genes, and then I can just very quickly craft me some of these pages. So basically 5 day, and then you need 60 in order to transcend one trigger, 100% conversion rate or transcendence rate, and then you have these 2 right here. So that's kind of everything that was introduced in this patch. We also have a new Divine Battle that is going on at the moment as well, but that of course doesn't really have to do anything with the Beelzebub raid. Currently I think it's fine, we got some new content, they're the same old bosses but with revamped mechanics, so they still feel fresh and have some learning curve to like learn all of the timings for the one-shot moves and that kind of stuff. Fights feel a little bit better as well, because they just immediately throw you into the fight rather than have you kill some ads beforehand. Of course, I've only done the back as well as the core. I haven't done hands and veins yet. Although, knowing veins, if it's anything similar to the previous one, I'm gonna hate it on Luna, because Luna doesn't like to be in the air. But so far, it's new content, definitely enjoying it, and then of course we can grow a little bit stronger as well. Does seem to be quite expensive, as well as quite the grind, but I'm just gonna hope to find some transcendent elixirs or something to speed up the progress a little bit. But I'll see, because of course I'm still going to have to grind it quite a bit to get all of the triggers done, which is mainly going to be the big grind. So by the time that you've done all of your triggers, you'll most likely be done with the transcendence for your core and modules as well. But it also means that your core is 100% going to be an upgrade now. Of course, before, currently I am still using my purification core, my tier 5 core, because of course the awakening is really strong on Luna and on some other characters as well. But now with tier 7 being out, it is pretty much guaranteed going to be an upgrade over the purification core, because I do have a plus 15 core, which going down to a plus 13 core for the Beelzebub V1 stuff was going to be a downgrade for me because of the enhancement level difference on it. But basically now that there's a tier 7 core, there's just no way that that is not going to be an upgrade anymore. So that's pretty much going to be it for me. That is BBV2, quick rundown of what you can expect when you're doing it. Of course, you still need 12 people to do it. If you want to do it normally, you can try to solo it if you want, of course. It'll just take you some extra time. But that's going to be it for me. I want to thank you for watching. I want to thank my Patreons for supporting me, and I'll see you in the next one.